Hello everyone, my name is Hannah Baker. Today I'm going to be presenting on a peer-reviewed article that I found on homelessness, housing instability, and mental health, and how they coincide with each other. This is by Deborah K. Paget, and if we look over here, the abstract says that research on the bidirectional relationship between mental health and homelessness is reviewed and extended to consider a broader global perspective, highlighting structural factors that contribute to housing instability and its mental uh, ill health, effects. Local, national, and international initiatives to address housing and mental health include Housing First in Western countries and promising local programs in India and Africa. So this is a big reason of why I chose this study. It's on a large scale rather than focusing on just like state or county. I really wanted to find something that sort of like encompassed everything that had to do with housing, not only here in Western culture, but in Eastern cultures. And so very interesting information on the local programs in India and Africa. This article also delves into ways that psychiatrists and physicians can be agents of change, uh, you know, regarding housing stability and structural competence trainings, scientific framing of these issues, and identifying risk, losing sight of the foundational importance of housing to mental health and well-being. Looking at that hierarchy of need, shelter, so this was, it was a heavy article to read, but it was interesting and highlighted a lot of different programs, even in like the US that I haven't heard of. The variables being assessed in this study were literal homelessness. Um, they uh, describe it like that in the study and throughout the study as literal homelessness, but they, uh, I think, say it like that to say like they're studying like percentages of individuals that are living unhoused and connecting them with individuals who are also suffering from, mental health symptoms. They're also looking at the variables of severe housing shortages in low-income countries, contrast with the greater availability of housing in higher income countries. Um, so looking at the variables of the housing programs or even housing availability in low-income countries like India and Africa, um, contrasted with the greater there is a higher availability of housing here in the U.S., but how much of it is actually being used and accessed. And then finally, the ultimate causes of homelessness are being discussed in this study. And they do go into talk a lot about gentrification, socioeconomic status, and how that plays into um, dealing with homelessness in Western culture. And they specifically look to connect, what is the effects of a mental health diagnosis or mental health symptoms on housing. Like, are is being mentally ill affecting them getting housing? In general, the answer may be yes, but they wanted to prove why that was the answer, not only here in Western culture, but also in Eastern culture as well. So yeah, like kind of like I was talking about before, what was the research questioning the study what was the answer the study was seeking? Um, in general terms, the directional relationship between mental health and homelessness at a macro and micro level. They were looking at the percentage of diagnoses that were on record, of course, of people who had diagnosed mental illness and if they were homeless as well. So this was a mixed methodology study. There was quantitative and qualitative aspects of the study. They looked at the percentages of the homeless population and compared that to the percentages of individuals who are diagnosed with severe and persistent mental illness, like schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, bipolar disorder. So the hypothesis and the null hypothesis and the author's conclusion, I think, can all be summed up. And, this quote is specifically from the article. It says, despite a plethora of research linking mental and physical health to housing stability, the salience of structural barriers is too often submerged in blaming the victim for his or her plight. Physicians and healthcare providers receive little training in social determinants and often view them as off limits or distracting from attention to signs and symptoms. Yet psychiatrists and other mental health professionals can become agents of change by paying greater attention to the social determinants of mental health and seeking structural competence in their practice. It is difficult to overestimate the benefits of having a stable, safe home and fundamental to mental health and well-being. And I thought this was a really good quote from the whole article. It was a really long article, kind of just generally explaining the findings, the hypothesis being, that mental health does affect housing and housing stability. And I like how, because of the quantitative studies, the interviews from people, the interviews from psychiatrists and doctors, they do recognize the structural barriers and how they address blaming the victim for his or her plight. I think there is a lot of blame on mental health symptoms while looking for housing. And there are a lot of people who suffer from mental health symptoms who live fully housed and stable and supported. And so there are different sides. But a lot of times, they do go into talking about how physicians and healthcare providers, they receive little training on these biopsychosocial needs like housing, food stability, financial stability, utility assistance, county benefits, things along those lines. And they may not have the resources to help individuals reach a higher status of, success or whatever that looks like to them in the medical world. Success with their mental health, being stable and supported and having a place to call home and go to continue being stable and work on a routine and have those important aspects of their life that aid to fundamental well-being in their everyday life. And yeah, this is interesting to read about. Here in the U.S., it's easy to see, especially working in social work, and I just want to be present. I guess the author's conclusion is, obviously having greater importance, and as mental health professionals, we can work to make that change. This is the reference the article. But I guess following up with my own conclusion, I want to use this information that I've gained from reading this article to work on, identifying those social determinants of health and aiding and supporting clients with them. For example, connecting to Housing First programs or connecting to county housing programs, connecting to county benefits like food stamps, general assistance. They have like the GRH program or the housing support program in Hennepin County, where I'm located. They also have Housing First. And yeah, I guess my conclusion is that I want to, be the change I want to see in the world. I want to be able to make that change in my client's life and assist them with housing and making sure that they're stable and supported. So yeah, thank you so much. It was a very interesting article, and I hope you guys it can make you think about maybe how you can address individuals who may be facing this that you're working with, and focus on person first and empathetic centered care. Thank you so much.